Okay, now, if we multiply a row by a column, what's the rule for multiplying a row by a column? You match up the numbers in the row with the numbers in the column, multiply each of those, and add them up, right? So, for example, the row 2, 7, negative 3 multiplied by A, B, C means what? It means 2 times A plus 7 times B minus 3 times C. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And of course, that's what you have here, isn't it? Okay? If you multiply the second row by the ABC column, what do you get?
5A plus 2B plus 6C.
You get this? Well, yeah, you got 5 times A plus 2 times B plus 6 times C, right? Okay? And you do 3 times A minus 2 times B plus 4 times C. And that gives you this side, right? So what this tells you is then that 2 times A plus 7 times B minus 3 times C, and that's going to be your first row, because this comes from the first row in the first column, right?
Yeah.
The answer goes in the first row in the first column. Then you have 5A plus 2B plus 6C, and you have 3A minus 2B plus 4C, and that's supposed to equal 12, 4, negative 6. Well, this is equal to this, provided this row is equal to 12, this row has to be equal to 4, this row has to be equal to negative 6, which means that this, being identical to this, is also identical to this, right? Okay? Now, what if I want to solve this? What would I put into Wolfram alpha?
The matrix is at the top.
What I would put in, the matrix here would be written, I'm going to call that matrix A. So, so this equation here is my A here, here's my X, and here's my B vector, right?
Yeah.
This is AX equals B. That's this equation, right?
Yep.
So my A vector, written in Wolfram alpha, is going to be 2, 7, negative 3, 5, 2, 6, 3, negative 2, 4, and close up the braces so the syntax is right. Okay? That's how you got to type it in. That's easy. You just remember to put your braces in there. Okay? So, A inverse is what?
One
I'm
over
going to write it out.
one over
Here's how you put A inverse into Wolfram alpha. You write this. Well, actually, you have to do to the raised. I keep wanting to write that as an A. Why are y'all letting me do that? Okay. Raised to the negative 1. Maybe you want to put parentheses around that negative 1. because that's just kind of a good habit. I don't think Wolfram Alpha would quarrel with you on that, but I know Excel would. Okay? Excel doesn't even do order of operations, right? Now, do you understand what we just did? We started with a system of equations. We wrote it as a matrix calculation of the form AX equals B, right?
Yeah.
C.
No, B.
No, C, like C as in the access in Spanish.
Oh, okay, now this B with an arrow over it is different than this B, right?
You need to wait on
Yeah.
Okay? We use the letter B for one of these components of the vector, but the vector itself is a B with an arrow over it, which means something completely different, okay?
2, 6.
So this B is unrelated to this B, or this B. All right?
5,
Well,
2, 6.
If you do A inverse, that thing just beep at me.
5, 2, 6.
I'm just hearing things. When my batteries go low in my hearing aids, I hear this loud ta-ta-ta-dum, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Okay?
4.
And you know, I always have to ask myself, am I hallucinating this, or is it really coming from my hearing aid? Okay, well, that's, okay, so I heard a beep, that wasn't it. Okay, now, your solution to this would be what? What's A inverse times A?
1.
Actually, it acts like 1, it's an identity.
Yeah.
Turns out it's the identity matrix, and I'll talk about that, but you don't really need it, because really all we're doing is using this to solve systems of equations, right? It gives you an identity so that you get X. X equals A inverse times B, right? So into Wolfram Alpha, you would put this times the 12, 4, negative 6 vector. Okay? So, and I'm not writing out every step, I really kind of want you to think about this. It might not be the best idea, but I'll write it out. I made an A out of it again. You know what it is I'm writing a caret, and then the next symbol I want to write is a negative, and I'm putting the negative in there to make that thing into an A. Now I'm almost out of room here, but I think I can get this in. Okay, what am I going to multiply this by? I'm going to multiply this by my B vector, which is the 12, 4, negative 6 vector, right? And that's going to be written and I didn't leave myself enough room, but do we understand that this is how to write 12, 4, negative 6 vector? Now when we get over there, I'll write this out a little bigger
Equals
on the board. Do you get the idea?
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty easy, right?
I guess.
After you get used to the syntax, that's a lot easier than solving the system by elimination, isn't it? Okay? You just type it in. You type this in, you hit the key, and you get your solution in about 3 or 4 seconds.
negative 3,